It's 10 o'clock. It's time for the council to be in session. We have one member present. It's 15 minutes after 10, and we have 7 members present. We need three more for a quorum. We have Mr. Fuhr, Ms. Goldberg, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Mistakowski, who is always here on time, Mr. Savornich, Mrs. Walters. Yeah, Mr. Savornich. We need 3, Sergeant. Sergeant, do your duty. Okay, the council will please come to order. The council will please come to order. We have a quorum. Call the roll.
Alarcon, Burnson, Chick, Fuhr, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Misakowski, Ridley Thomas, Svornich, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present in a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. Sergeant, would you help me get some attention here? Would all those not involved with the council meetings please get behind the pillars? This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 4th day of March 1998. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. When the council decides they're ready to go in session, we'll then proceed. So in the meantime, we will just sit here. Sergeant, would you break up that quorum there? Would you? Okay, the first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Alarcon moves, Mr. Savornich seconds. There's no objection, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
If there's no objection, unanimous vote. Next item.
Items noticed for public hearing, items number 1 and 2.
Is there anybody in the chamber who wants to be heard on item 1 or 2? Have no cards. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Laura, please, would you keep quiet? I can't. Forthwith on what? You're coming to the meeting? Oh, yeah. Forthwith on 1 and 2? Okay, item number 7 on yesterday's agenda is something that is in my district. Mr. Bernson moves a reconsideration regarding a street vacation for the purpose of continuing until May 5th. Is there any objection to reconsideration of 7 on yesterday's agenda? Seeing none, the matters are before us. Mr. Bernson moves to continue until May 5th. There's no objections. That'll be the order. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have been held, items 3 through 14.
Are there any specials by council members? Any specials by council members? If not, prepare the roll on 3. Item 5 is to be received and filed. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
There's no objection. That'll be the order. So prepare the roll on 3 through 14 with the exception of 5, which has already been acted on. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Forthwith on 8, please.
Forthwith on 3 and 8. 14. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have not been held, items 15 through 23.
Is there anybody in the chamber who wants to be heard on any of those items? We have a request at 20. We have a request that 23 be sent to IGR. If there are no objections, that'll be the order. Okay,
I'd like to ask that 22 be sent to Commerce.
Is there any objections to 22 being sent to Commerce? Seeing none, that'll be the order.
18C special.
Will we get that back quickly?
Sure, but I'd like to at least talk to the department about it. I think the committee ought to be involved in the decision.
Can we ask that come back within 30 days?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, 18C is called special. Any others? Specials? We have 15 through
Items 15 through 23.
21, because we have already acted on 22 and 23. Sergeant, please, would you move all these people out of here? I can't hear. Would you get in the back of the, behind that?
I don't want 18C special after all. Mr. Hernandez is taking care of it.
Okay. So we have 15 through 21.
15 through 21.
Prepare the roll.
And Holden call, excuse me, Mr. Holden called 15 special.
Mr. Holden called 15 special? Okay. He's got a loud voice. Okay, 15 is called special. So prepare the roll on the balance 16 through 21. 21. Tabulate the
21.
vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Okay, next item, Mr. President, you have a closed session item.
Well, we'll leave that on the desk. Next item.
Okay, next item is number 15. It was called special.
Mr. Holden, you have the floor.
Mr. President, may I have a report on that request to contract these items out?
Did you finish? Who's going to give the report on 15? What? Mr. Holden has asked a report on 15. Would you respond?
Tony DeClue, General Services Department. Item number 15 is a $1.1 million appropriation for building and maintenance and custodial services for 3 new police stations and 10 new libraries. The money was originally put in the unappropriated balance until we resolved some issues relating to contracting out. We're in the process of resolving those. In the meantime, we're providing the services, and we ask that the money be moved from the unappropriated balance to the Department of General Services to continue the services for the remainder of this year.
Mr. President, it appears that this recommendation is being done in accordance with City Charter Section 126, which therefore suggests that this is something that we cannot do in-house. Contracting out, I guess, is okay if it's absolutely something that we cannot do here, but it's really giving up jobs and also type of service. We've discovered over the years that for this type of service, maintenance service, that it's not as well done as when it's in-house, when you have the kind of in-house supervision. Can you, and by the way, was this put out for bid and the union had an opportunity to respond to it as well?
We're in the processes of doing that right now.
While we get the contract out, while we're in the process of doing it?
While we're in the processes of determining whether the the city staff can do it or contract service can do it for a more inexpensive amount, that RFP process is taking quite some time. The proposals will be turned in probably, I'd say, by March 10th. We'll review those proposals, have them back to council probably
so
by
what
the
you're
1st of
saying then
May.
is this work is currently being contracted out?
Right, it's currently being contracted out. We're in the processes of evaluating whether
And
we
this
need to
contract is
continue.
for what period of time? I don't.
It'll be contracted probably up through June
Of this year?
of this year, yes.
All right. Okay, Mr. President, thank you very much.
Mrs. Walters, did you want to be heard on this?
Council members, there are 2 reports on this, and the minority report is mine. I'm concerned that existing staff could be utilized for those positions as opposed to contracting out and to save the $50,000 that these would cost.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes, I'm supporting the Personnel Budget and Finance and ITA General Services report because I think that the 3 individuals which include a roofer, an air conditioning mechanic, and a building maintenance district supervisor, will make it possible for us to do a great number of projects for a much less price than it would cost us to have various contracts going out to various places. Our goal is to increase the number of projects that can be done inside at a price competitive with external contracts. And the way you can do that, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, is to have a different configuration of teams. And in this case, the need for a roofer and a air conditioning mechanic and one building maintenance district supervisor to put all of these teams together in a competitive bid from our internal organizations that is competitive with the outside world makes that possible. So while I'm certainly sensitive to the desire to save the $50,000, I think it would be penny wise and pound foolish in this particular case, and would urge an aye vote on the combined committee report.
Any further discussion? If not, prepare the roll on the item 15. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Gail, did you say we have to reconsider 20? Okay. So we just have to vote on the ordinance.
We have to reconsider the item and then vote on the ordinance, yes.
Okay. All right, item number 20, Mr. Savornich moved reconsideration for the purpose of supporting it with the ordinance. No objections, the matter is before us. 20 we have with the, if you notice, 20 is to change the designation of City Hall East to City Hall, period. So prepare because the council meetings, that is going to be effective, I guess
On
it's
whatever day
April
the
14th.
council first meets. I think the way the ordinance is drafted, it's in case there's a change in our schedule, when the council first meets,
Okay.
and it will
All right.
sunset when they move back here.
All right, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Mr. President, may I ask for a reconsideration of 15 for the purpose of voting no?
We'll let you vote no on
Thank
that.
you.
It doesn't change the, record Mrs. Wallers as a no vote on 15. All right, the next item.
Next item, Mr. President, you have special one on the desk. It's a motion brought in by Councilmember Goldberg.
Okay,
Yes, this special item, the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act pursuant to Government Code 54954.2B2 and Council Rule 23. This has to do with a bill for the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1998, which moved faster than anybody really expected, and therefore it is before the Congress now, and the council, if they want to take a position on it, needs to vote today.
okay, is there any discussion on the findings? If not, prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Now the matter is before us. Mrs. Goldberg wants to be heard.
Yes, this is not H.R. 589, which we did support, which allowed certain restrictions on group homes for people recovering from drug addiction and allowed nearly any suit to be brought under the Act. Those things are limited, and they would take care of the problem of overconcentration in some neighborhoods of some types of uses. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Hiding behind that little piece of it, what they have done, and we've passed out a chart comparing H.R. 589 with H.R. 3206, this is really a bold-faced, bald-faced attempt to gut the fair housing legislation that's left in this country, using some legitimate issues of 589 and adding to them a number of things that I can tell you as a former children's services deputy for a supervisor would make group homes for children who've done nothing wrong, who are just in group homes for foster care, would make them impossible. It would literally allow harassment in testimony and other places as a First Amendment right of people who are disabled, who are trying to get disabled housing in areas. I mean, if you read the comparisons, it is really quite extraordinary. And while I still support the ideas in H.R. 589, this is not H.R. 589, and it is an attempt to use a legitimate issue to gut the Fair Housing Acts of the federal government, and I do not believe that this council should do anything but oppose it strenuously and vehemently.
Okay, before we continue the discussion, we do have two people who want to be heard on this, Rod Field and Heather Corrigan.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Rod Field. I'm with the Los Angeles Housing Law Project, and I'd like raising to in support of Ms. Goldberg's motion here this morning. This is a terrible bill that's being heard in Congress. It may be heard as early as this week and certainly by the end of the month, and it would, as Ms. Goldberg stated, gut the Fair Housing Act that this year, its 30th anniversary, would destroy what we have built over the last 30 years in trying to allow people to live anywhere in any community. Thank you.
Heather Corrigan.
Good morning. Heather Kerrigan from the ACLU of Southern California in support of Councilmember Goldberg's motion. The ACLU of Southern California strongly urges you to oppose H.R. 3206, fatally flawed legislation which will eviscerate or eliminate several key Federal Housing Act protections. Although the bill's proponents claim that it is written to deal with just a few legitimate concerns, the perceived overconcentration of group homes in certain areas and the inability of local governments to deal effectively with certain problems created by those homes, the language of the bill is at once so vague and far-reaching as to weaken the Federal Housing Act beyond recognition. As you know, protecting freedom of speech is one of our foremost priorities at the ACLU. And we have worked closely with HUD in recent years to ensure that the Federal Housing Act protections do not unnecessarily infringe upon that crucial right. However, H.R. 3206's vague free speech provision, which allows for any expression of an opinion or any seeking of redress from a public authority, severely and unnecessarily lessens discrimination protections. Consider the following hypothetical. Under the new law, a landlord could tell a prospective tenant, I don't like to rent to black people, and that would not be actionable under the Federal Housing Act. H.R. 3206's provisions concerning group homes for people with disabilities basically guts the protections afforded the disabled by allowing zoning authorities to pass any regulations governing their operation which meet the minimum and vague standard of being reasonably required for the dispersal of such facilities. It has been a long, hard fight in the legislature and in the courts to prevent discrimination by means of zoning laws against the disabled living in group homes. H.R. 3206 would essentially eliminate the civil rights of vast numbers of people with disabilities. H.R. 3206 also revises the Federal Housing Act's familial status provision meant to ensure that localities may not arbitrarily or with discriminatory intent deny group homes for foster children or deny juveniles the ability to locate in residential neighborhoods. The revision redefines familial status to include only individuals related by blood, marriage, or adoption and foster children living with such relatives. It effectively eliminates all anti-discrimination protection for children living in group homes, such as those run by the Catholic Charities, a common transitional step in finding these children
I think you made
permanent
your
homes.
point.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You did very well. Okay, Mr. Savarnich, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I, as many of you, have probably received some correspondence in regards to this bill earlier today, which I have not had liberty to read from some members of our congressional delegation. But I would appreciate the opportunity to have the Chief Legislative Analyst's Office, or that would probably be the most appropriate entity, to give us a report on the bill. Usually the most appropriate way to handle on whether or not we are going to be supporting or opposing either Senate or Assembly or congressional resolutions is to send this to the IGR committee, and I'd like to know what the urgency is in regards to calling this as a special today.
Some indication they're going to be taking it up maybe this week or next week.
Okay, well, that's fine. but-
Is that right, Mr. Avak?
Okay, well, my concern is that I'd like to hear a little bit more. I mean, I'm reading the motion on what some of this will do or will not do, but I also know that there's two sides to every story, and I'd like to know what benefits that possibly the City of Los Angeles could be achieving in regards to having this bill go forward also, and I'd like the opportunity to hear that. I'd like to ask that we get a report from the CLA's office in regards to what the bill will and will not do, and get a report back before we vote on this. And if the method to do that is to send that to IGR and have a quick hearing and come back, that would be fine. And if necessary, I so move. But I'd like to get a summary from the CLA.
Mr. Deaton, did you want to respond?
Mr. President, members of the council, it was although not our analysis, the city has taken a position on H.R. 589 relative to the same basic issue and allows the local agency to make certain limitations as long as they are not discriminatory and also are based on concentration in a certain area, etc. H.R. 3206 appears to go well beyond that and removes some of the protections for persons with disabilities, etc., that's in the act, and goes well beyond the city's position at this point. I think that there's nothing wrong with opposing 3206 so long as it's amended, unless it's amended back to the provisions of under H.R. 589, which the city has taken the position already, which does allow more local control, but within certain guidelines relative to concentration, etc.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, members, H.R. 589 was the bill that failed passage last congressional session.
Right.
And they amend, and now the new bill was introduced as H.R. 3206.
Right, on the 12th.
Pardon?
12th of February.
The 12th of February. And it contains significantly different points of views. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Law is going to make different law?
Right. It goes,
see, now that's, well, I think we have a little diagram here which suggests what the difference might be. But has your staff analyzed this legislation, 589 and 3206?
We had analyzed 589,
and we supported 589.
That's right.
Okay, but what's the significant difference between 3206 and 589?
In one instance, H.R. 589 allows for more local control as long as you are doing it based on concentration, etc. 3206 appears to allow it for any reason, and therefore eliminates some of the protection that exists under existing law, and allows local government to do whatever they want to do, but eliminates a lot of the protection.
Yeah, but
and what we were asking for was more under 589. We were asking, the city and other cities were asking for a position that allowed us to make those decisions based on concentrations in certain areas.
Has the author of the bill changed?
No.
Same author?
Same author.
Have anybody talked to the author about amending the bill back the way it was previously? And who was the author?
Bill Bray from California.
Bill Gray?
Bill Bray, B-I-L-B-R-A-Y from, I think, San Diego area.
Yeah,
actually, what happened was the bill was introduced on the 12th and was acted on. This appears to be a fast track. I don't see any problem with an opposed unless amended position going back to 589.
It's got to go to both houses, right?
It has to go through both houses.
Same committee they went through before.
Well, it didn't.
How far did it go before? Mr. President, just one final question. Did it clear the House of Origin before? Did it clear the subcommittee before? It's already cleared. Last time, 589. Did 589 clear?
589 is not there.
589 is actually still pending in the subcommittee. It didn't move.
Oh. So in order to get some support, they just doctored it up a little bit.
Well, they changed it.
All right. Mr. Savornich, who? She's running for governor. The fact that, better not say that too loud. I'm betwixt and between. I would like to really review it, but if it's really that urgent, we better let it, you know, I really would. I'm going to hold my discussion.
We have about 8 people who want to be heard on this, so it would probably be 3 or 4 days before we get through the debate. Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Mr. President. I was not going to speak because I thought this would be a slam dunk, but it's appearing otherwise, and so I do rise to speak in support of Ms. Goldberg's motion, which I seconded. This bill, in its current form, is an attack on neglected kids, it's an attack on abused kids, and it's an attack on people who are disabled, all in the name of a mantra of local control. When it comes right down to it, all of us want to accentuate the opportunities for people in their communities to have some control over their destinies. Of course, that's a good thing. But why are we here? Why are we as government here if not to assure some basic protections for abused kids, neglected kids, and people with disabilities? This bill would remove, in significant measure, that function, remove that key protection. And from my standpoint, allowing this bill to go forward without intervening right now is to abdicate one of the most important responsibilities we who were elected to hold office have. Who else is going to protect neglected, abused kids or people with disabled if not us? Weighing in at this juncture is critical. There are no choices, it seems to me, at this moment but to weigh in. This bill can be refined. Deliberation should ensue in Washington. But if we don't make our collective voice heard right now on behalf of kids and people who are disabled, we will have lost that opportunity. And by losing that opportunity now, we're going to have a heavy weight on our conscience tomorrow. I urge support for Ms. Goldberg's motion.
Mr. Bernson.
Well, that was a very impassioned speech, and certainly we all, want to protect those who need protection, and that's important. And probably on the surface, probably this legislation is very appropriate. But we also have an obligation to protect neighborhoods and communities as well. They are entitled to have protection also, Mr. Fuhr. And there is something to be said for local control, because people in Washington don't always know what's best for people in your district or my district or Mr. Hernandez or wherever. So there has to be a balance. And I hope that this bill does provide the ability to have that balance. I'm prepared mainly because it is motherhood, apple pie to me, that we should try to protect these people who need protection the most. Prepared to let it go today. But I would suggest, and I'm going to make it a substitute motion if you don't mind, or an amendment, Jackie, that we also send it to IGR for review so that we can have a better idea if there are any things in here that need to be amended. Okay? Because there may be some things in here that we don't agree with. I don't know, I'm willing to take your word, and based upon the overall general welfare that you're heading in that direction, that we should do that. So I'm going to make that as an amendment, and we can move forward. That it also go to IGR subsequent to our support, and then if we want to suggest amendments to it, we can do so.
Hernandez.
Members of the council, I agree to the scrutiny of the legislation, and at the same time, I need to ask some questions, because I think that we, in an indirect way, might be supporting this legislation currently in Washington. Is that correct?
Well, I think that the one thing that a council action would do today is there appears to be a feeling in Washington that we are, because we supported 589, that we're supporting 3206, and that's not the case.
And what's happened in regards to 3206 is basically it passed out of the Judiciary Committee on the Constitution on February 25th. Party line vote, broken up between Republicans and Democrats, rushed it through the full committee for this week's action, and it's moving on a fast track. Members of the council, I don't know how many of you were able to receive a letter sent to us by Congresswoman Maxine Waters, but she was appalled at basically the fact that we had not taken a position on this legislation, and the impression in Washington is that we are in support of this legislation. And with the legislation, and she sent to at least me a copy of the bill. And what you need to know is that the bill requires people to go through all administrative remedies before they can seek their civil rights protection in any acts of discrimination. What that basically means is they got to go through an administrative process before they can go into a judiciary process, before they can seek any remedies on discrimination. People who are handicapped, children, people of color, and it makes no sense. And that's why I think Congresswoman Walters was appalled that the city of Los Angeles, a city that basically is dealing with the issue of ongoing transition, would support legislation that makes it more difficult for people to deal with the issue of discrimination in housing, knowing that we have a shortage of housing stock and knowing that we're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. There's no question in my mind that we have to oppose that legislation, and we have to take a position on it right away so that there's a clear signal to Washington that the city of Los Angeles does not want to sanction discrimination in housing, and that people's civil rights should be protected. And again, I'm making this point based on not just what I believe to be someone's statement, but what the legislation actually says.
Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, when I look at this information here and hear the arguments about local control, it reminds me of the argument some years ago about states' rights when it came to the Free Accommodations, Public Accommodations Act, and when it came to school desegregation. All of this was under the guise of states' rights and local control, where the southern states and some others fought for segregation as hard as they could. And when I see a Fair Housing Act being gutted and something else put in its place, it's very disturbing. And I think that we do need to weigh in against this. We have the largest multicultural population or the most diverse population probably in the United States, and our voices need to be raised loud and clear against something that would support discrimination.
Ms. Galanter.
If I can cut through all the elaborate arguments here, this is a mean, vicious, horrible bill, and I am very proud to oppose it by supporting Ms. Goldberg's motion.
Mr. President, members of the council, I have a concern that there is an impression that those who represent the city of Los Angeles were in fact working to move the item forward that is now before us for opposition. If such is the case, I wish to hear from the legislative analyst or whoever is responsible for what in fact was going on and how is it that there was movement in this regard, absent the official instructions or policy endorsement or recommendation on behalf of the governing body of the city. That's what's operating here, and apparently that's essentially what gives rise to the concerns represented in the letter that all members are in receipt of. Now, is it the case that the legislative analyst or anyone who was so designated was moving forward in support of H.R. 3206? And if that was the case, why did that happen? Has that now been ordered to stop? The members of this council need to have some clarification on that matter.
The answer is no.
To what question?
The first question, therefore the other questions are not relevant.
No, I don't know if they're not relevant, Mr. Deaton. I think you should back up and
No,
reconsider
I'm just
the
saying
relevance
the
of it.
answer, we did
So
not
there was-
support. We
so
did
there
not-
was no
No, we
effort
supported
to-
589, like I said before. If the author may have in the process indicated, because we supported 589, that maybe we would support the 3206. National League of Cities is supporting 3206. And,
Well, the point being made is, was there any attempt on the part of the National League of Cities to enlist the support of the legislative arm of the City of Los Angeles?
Not to my
help them?
knowledge, no.
Ms. Goldberg, I'm interested in hearing some clarification on this matter because we've gotten conflicting reports here. I'm quite concerned about this, and for a letter to be in circulation of this sort, essentially suggesting that such was the case, and Mr. Deaton, for you to almost dismissively reduce the letter to fabrication gives me pause, to say the very least. Ms. Goldberg, perhaps you can provide further clarification.
The information we got yesterday afternoon was that somebody from Maxine Waters' office was told that the city's legislative arm in Washington was supporting the bill, and so she called somebody in Washington, and they confirmed that, and then she called Los Angeles and was told that's absolutely not true, but the letter had already been sent. So there is some confusion in at least Congresswoman Waters' office as to whether or not Washington, D.C. people may have taken a position. It was her understanding they had. But once we take care of this, we will take care of that. But that is where this is coming from. It came from her office.
All right, fine. Ms. Stokowski?
There's been some concern on the members of the council as to an apparent rushing of this and concern about not having looked at the bill. As Mr. Hernandez said, the bill was sent to each of the members of the council. It's 4 pages long, I think triple spaced. And let me just read 2 sentences as far as what people are concerned about impressions in the bill. It says that the Fair Housing Act is amended by adding at the end of the following: with respect to a state or local law, the protections afforded against discrimination on the basis of familial status apply only with respect to groups of persons related by blood, marriage, or adoption, and with respect to a child under the age of 18 years of age living in a foster care arrangement. In other words, neglected children, not blood related, are no longer necessarily protected as a class under this bill if it were adopted. Secondly, it says, nothing in this title prevents state or local government regulations of facilities for residential services for persons with handicaps if such regulation reasonably requires the dispersal of such facilities. This bill, just in those 2 sentences, attacks and deals with 2 of the weakest members of our society, neglected children and persons with handicap. And I don't think anyone needs any further impression, any more understanding to know that this bill should be strongly opposed by the City of Los Angeles. And in fact, I'd like to suggest that not only should we have opposition to the bill, but we should take this matter up with the League of Cities as well, if they are, in fact, supporting this.
Mrs. Chick?
Well, some of my concerns were at least partly addressed with Mr. Ridley Thomas's questions, because even if there were, or there are explanations for the misperceptions that were created about the belief, the mistaken belief that we were supporting this, I guess I'm surprised that it hasn't come in and that it took our colleague and our friend in Washington to bring it to our attention to oppose it, and that what we're hearing all around the room is that we all feel very strongly and adamantly that this is something we want to oppose. It's a dangerous piece of legislation, and it's very mild curiosity, but there is curiosity on my part. What is the rationale and the reason for this? And if it's about or at all related to some of the kinds of land use concerns that have been discussed in this council and were related to the other bill, this is going completely in the wrong direction and is not moving to solve perhaps a very small problem, but is rather creating a huge one. I think several of us in our district have perhaps heard from residents who are concerned with a multiplicity of group homes that have come into their immediate neighborhood. But colleagues, I think if there are problems ever presented in a community, that the way to deal with that, more than anything, is through making sure that these are homes that are well-run, that have good supervision, and are providing good care, and are good neighbors. And certainly all of them are eminently capable of being good neighbors. There's nothing unusual about having 6 people living in a home. And especially the people that are targeted in this legislation, as many of us have said already, are ones that we want to welcome into our communities and guarantee that they're getting the care that they need, not make it tougher for them to do so. But I guess I'd like to end with a question to Mr. Deaton, and that is, I think I heard you address that it is not the case that our staff in Washington has been supporting this, but why this wasn't brought to our attention sooner so we could have more proactively and earlier on taken an opposing role, as we often do with legislation that we don't agree with.
I'd like to respond doubly to that. One is that the Washington office in a panic called yesterday to our office saying, we understand that there are congressional offices saying that we support the bill. Is Los Angeles supporting the bill without telling Washington? Which indicates to me that Washington was not supporting the bill, and there was some misconception. How that happened, I don't know. On 2597, this bill was introduced. It was considered on 2/12, February 12th of this year, it was introduced. On the 25th, it was passed through committee. 589 was introduced on 2/5/97 a year ago, and was scheduled for hearing on 4/17. So in 2 weeks, this bill, which substantially modified the prior bill, was introduced and passed out of committee, and as opposed to having several weeks and months to discuss 589 and get our position put together, there was obviously some desire to move this through the subcommittee process very quickly. And in 2 weeks, we had not had a chance to review it and bring it forth to the council. By the way, the NLC's position is strictly on local control, and it's a policy decision that I'm sure it hasn't been considered in the last 2 weeks by the General Assembly.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes, I would just say that what appears to have happened is that 589, because it was not doing well, because it was not getting basically Republican support, got Bill Bray to come up and put onto it, said, oh yes, I'll take this over, I'll get you all the Republican support you want. And the way he thought he could do that was to add the more noxious pieces of this, because he thinks that they'll support the other part if they get a gutting of this fair housing. That's, I think, from a few discussions I had, what is going on. And so basically I would say that because there'll be no council meeting on the 6th of March or the 11th, and 6 of our members are traveling to D.C. on March the 6th, that we should do as Mr. Bernsen suggests, and that is that we adopt our opposition to 3206. I would add that we ask our delegation to the National League of Cities to raise our concerns in a forceful and vehement fashion, and that we then also send to IGR the remainder of the bill and to look at it and to see if there are ways to get it back to the parts we like, which was 589. No one here is trying to back off from that position. I voted for it. I think most of us did if it wasn't unanimous. Limiting how concentration makes sense. Being able to keep people from having any at all of the various types of fair housing needs met in their neighborhood is going to zero does not. And that's the difference essentially between the two bills. One says that if you're talking about certain types of populations you don't want an overconcentration of. You ought to be able to set a maximum either per block or per neighborhood. That makes sense. This says you can take that number to 0, and they don't have any place to live. And that we cannot support. So I would urge an aye vote on the substitute motion of Mr. Burnson.
Okay. Mr. Wax?
Just to follow up on what Ms. Goldberg said, if you allow it to go to 0, you in essence start penalizing those who wish to have a reasonable number, because then the pressure goes to squeeze them all into the people that are already willing to accept a fair share. And that seems like an unfair way. That's like the same concept when some people don't pay their tax at all, then the rest of us who do pay tax, have to pay more. It's same with the water bills and all of those things. So there has to be, if there's a recognition of a need and all, a way to equitably spread it. And I think that by being able to exclude areas completely, you unfairly burden the areas that are left, and that's not really good policy.
Mr. Savornich? There's Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, this like a board and care homes that we're talking about could be affected? Yeah, the answer is yes. Foster home, same thing. Is that the kind of homes where the neighborhoods require conditional use permits in order for us to deny or grant the privilege of some of these homes to exist? Yes. None are by right if they're within a certain distance of an existing home. That is not true. You can deny them if it's an overconcentration. Am I right?
No.
Yes, we do. I don't think so. Yes, we do, because we're doing it in my neighborhood too, right now, where people are complaining about
well, that's a different
over
place.
and abundant. No, it's the same darn issue. Teenage at-risk youth. Now, you guys are going to have to spill this milk over if you want to, but at least know what you're talking about. I really want to take a hard look at this. If you really want to stand up and say you're for all these civil rights and you're for fair housing, and then we'll come right in here and we'll deny these homes in certain neighborhoods, when the CUP is requested, then that's kind of double talk, unless you can tell me what's going on.
I'm just saying that under 589, the provision would be including any restriction related to the maximum number of unrelated persons permitted to occupy a dwelling, et cetera, in connection with the occupancy of a dwelling by a convicted...
What's the number?
It says, if the purpose is the restriction to keep it to a single family, it allows local government some flexibility in order to maintain, to eliminate concentration.
Well, that's all you're saying. You have the right to have a CUP or not to have one.
Right.
That's what you're saying, and you have that right now. You're giving you what you already have. And how does it differ from the other? The other doesn't give you that right. You still have local control with the other one, is that correct?
With 589.
3206.
3206 does give you local control, but does not make the restrictions that you have to talk about concentration or something. It just says, in essence, you have the absolute right.
Well, of course. Isn't that what you always wanted?
Well, I think Mr. Wax makes the point, though, that if one community has the right... I'm sorry.
What I'm really saying is that I want to reiterate, we are getting a lot of double talk around here. You're really saying that you want what you really don't want, because when it's put to you as a case-by-case basis, you tend to vote no. And when you start voting no, I'm going to bring it to your attention, remind you that's what you're doing. And when people talk about fair housing, how do you tell the guy in certain neighborhoods where it's not fair, it's not equitable, it's not even adequate, it's not even health environment, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr.
And then we sit here and let that happen over and over again. Now, I don't see no real perpetual effort on the part of many.
Mr. Holden,
I know it's the same subject.
There's people saying you talk too long. Ms. Galanter.
Well,
I move the previous question on the entire matter so we can take the principled stand that we want.
Hypocrisy, Mr. President.
Okay,
that's all.
prepare the roll on a previous question. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 3 no.
That, the matter, the previous questions and for, now what is before us?
You have Mr. Bernson's substitute motion to refer this to IGR committee. Excuse me, to take a no position and refer this to IGR committee.
Take a position against the bill.
And refer it to IGR.
The motion is to oppose the bill and also send it to IGR for
Okay.
subsequent
Okay,
analysis.
prepare the roll.
Point of order, Mr. President.
What is your point?
Point in addition to that was an instruction to the delegation going to the League of Cities to register the sentiment of the council in the strong. I'm sorry?
Yeah.
So that should be a part of the instructions.
I accept that as part of the substitute
Yeah.
motion.
Mr. Savornich, what's your point?
Mr. President, I want to ask for a point of personal privilege. I believe that I wanted to make an amending motion that I think we all could support.
You wanted to,
but
you wanted to move Ria's question.
I did not move.
The first time.
I understand, but I asked for.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to move that we have supported 589, and I would like to make an amending motion that we support the provisions of 3205, which are consistent with 589, but oppose the provisions which are noxious. 3206, is that the correct? I want to support the pieces which make a motion to support the pieces of 30. No, but not within the one that is before us, which is the 3206. Is that the number? And then oppose the parts of 3206, which the majority of the council feels that are noxious. So the parts that are the same, the parts of 3206, which are also the same as 589 that we support, and then oppose the noxious parts.
Point of order.
Can we not do that?
No. What did you?
They've changed even those restrictions if you look at the chart.
Point of order.
See, they didn't leave them the same. They added things to them.
What is your point, Mr. Burns?
My point is that I think that we should do that separately, Mr. Svornich.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that clearly what's before us now needs to be opposed, and we ought to go back after we've, once we've
And
done
I'll
our
go, I
committee,
promise.
we can then go back to what we originally had supported.
Okay. Prepare the roll on Mr. Burnson's motion.
Mr. Bernson's motion.
Prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item. We have some more specials.
Special 2 is a reward motion. Marcelina Barrera was killed, her son and her brother, on February 2nd, 1997. The police department has requested a reward as a means of seeking information regarding people who committed the crime. The council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act.
Okay. Prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. The matter is before us, a reward. Any discussion? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, Special 3 is the motion to continue the local emergency.
Okay.
Yes.
Findings.
Yes, this is a motion, declaration to extend the declaration of local emergency initially declared on February 18th, 1998 for an additional 14 days. Because the council is in recess on Friday and on Tuesday, the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and there's an immediate need to act.
Okay. Prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Now we have the matter before us, signed by the acting mayor. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved forthwith. I think it's Ruth Galater, isn't it? Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, is number 24, and we've been advised by the city attorney that we will be going into open session first. Open session.
Okay, we want to hear this. This is item 24, is it?
Yes, Mr. President.
Claudia Culling from the City Attorney's Office. We've received a settlement offer in a case that involves CUP for alcohol at Shakey's Pizza in Westwood. This came before the city, and the city denied their application, and they sued. And they've submitted a settlement offer with various conditions that they would agree to have imposed on them if we would settle the lawsuit and grant the CUP.
Mr. President.
Mr. Fuhr?
Thank you, Mr. President. On this item, it's very straightforward. We have a pizza restaurant in close proximity to a large university, lots of kids. The restaurant has been cited before by ABC for alcohol-related violations. They're seeking to sell alcohol now. They propose conditions that cannot meaningfully be enforced. The sale of alcohol is not important to the economic vitality of this restaurant because among their volunteered conditions is that they limit their gross sales of alcohol to only 10% of their aggregate sales. So we should simply reject the settlement. They don't need alcohol here. The combination of alcohol with this location with unenforceable conditions is a very bad combination next to a university. I move rejection.
Is there any discussion? If not, prepare the roll. On the motion by Mr. Fuhr, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Forthwith, please.
Thank you.
And that is approved. Next item.
Now is the time for comment from the public on non-agenda items.
Is there anybody who wants to be heard on public comment on matters before the City Council who would have no cards? Anybody in the chamber that wants to be heard? If not, the public hearing is closed. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, you have a request from Councilmember Burnson to be excused on Wednesday, March 18th. City business meets council policy.
Unanimous vote. Next item.
That clears the desk, Mr. President.
Anything else before the council? Adjourning motions, would everyone please stand? Everyone please stand. Ms. Galanter?
No. I'd like to ask first that we adjourn in memory of Fred Friendly, who was the former president of CBS News, and most of us will remember for his years of contribution to the way television handled major issues. He was the guy who put Ed Murrow on television and served as producer of See It Now. They are the pair who did the groundbreaking exposés of Senator Joseph McCarthy and the dangers of cigarette smoking. He was later executive producer of CBS Reports, popularizing the television documentary with programs like Harvest of Shame, which I'm sure everybody remembers. He won 10 Peabody Awards, and he was most recently the creator and host of the Columbia University Seminars on Media and Society. And I remember walking by his house on my way to school when I was a child, and people pointing out, my mother would point out to me that this is the house of Fred Friendly, and then it would all be explained to me who this man was. He died Tuesday night at the age of 82 and has left, I think, a tremendous legacy when it isn't being undermined in the he's really shown people how television news could be handled.
All members.
And I'd like to ask also that we adjourn in memory of Rebecca Padilla, who passed away on February 26th. She was a feisty woman, survived by her 3 children, including Mary Ellen Padilla, who I think many of you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll speak on that too, please.
Okay. Ms. Goldberg?
Yes, many people have called our office and asked about the 2 young children who died in the fire and where they can donate money to the family. There is now set up a Damien and Anthony Aranda Memorial Fund, and if they want details on how they make the donation, they should call any part of my office.
Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, members, respectfully request that we adjourn in memory of Mayo C. Williams, Jr. Mr. Mayo was a devoted husband, father, grandfather, and church member, community leader. He's a longtime resident of the 10th District, and he was a volunteer. Used his home for voter registration, for voting on election day, and he would pick up senior citizens who could not come to the poll and drive them to the polls to vote. He's going to be missed for sure. Funeral services will be February 20. Oh, that's already happened. It was at St. Paul's Catholic Church, so certainly he's going to be missed.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I sadly ask that we adjourn in memory of Andrea Hamilton Foster. Andrea was a student of mine when I taught at Immaculate Heart High School in the mid-'70s. She left a very favorable impression on me at that time. She went on to become a teacher herself and taught elementary school at the Cienega School. She suffered from terminal illness and died this past Sunday. She's survived by her husband Stanley Foster, her mother and father Mary and Jesse Hamilton, her sister, her brothers are Brian and Derek Hamilton, and a host of friends who thought very fondly of her, and students who will miss her deeply.
I'll call the roll. Aye, the council is adjourned.
Mr. President,